Welcome to this week's happy hour. So this week I want to share a really quick tip that I learned on social media this week and then went and fact checked. Actually, that's two tips. Number one is always fact check everything you see on social media because a lot of it is just complete hooey. Anyway, so the tip that I sought this week was that placing a cold ice pack or compress on the back of your neck can flick you out of stress, calm you down, and stop you from crashing out. How? Well, let's find out. Okay, so I saw this video on social media during the last week, and it was a young mum, and she was sharing this tip that she had for when her kids were going crazy and there was freaking out, crashing out, and she could feel that she was just about to completely lose it herself. And she placed a cold compress on the back of her neck for about a minute or so, and then was able to calm down and regulate her nervous system. And she had also tried and done the same thing to help her kids to regulate. I thought this was really interesting. She said that it was because it triggers the mammalian dive reflex, which is that reflex that happens when we fall into water, where it will calm the body down, slow the heart rate, slow the breathing, and pull all the blood into the center to prevent us from drowning. So it activates that parasympathetic nervous system to slow it down to stop us from drowning faster. Anyway, so I love a good home experiment. So I had a super busy day on Monday and I got home and I thought, I'll give this a go. So I got a cold press, put it on the back of my neck for a minute or two, and it worked. So I thought, that's amazing. Let's check it out. And what I found was there is research to say that placing a cold compress on your neck can help you to regulate your nervous system, but it's actually activating the vagus nerve through the cardiac vagal response, and that's what's slowing the heart rate and actually increasing heart rate variability, which is a sign of heart health, and slowing the breathing and calming the body down. And so because it's the vagus nerve that's being affected, which runs down through behind the carotid artery here, it's actually more effective to put the cold compress on the side of the neck, gently here, rather than on the back, to activate this one. Now, the dive reflex does do the same thing, and it does have those changes that I spoke about, where it will slow the heart rate, slow the breathing, and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. But because it's activated from falling into water, it's the trigeminal nerve that causes this response, this reflex, and that runs through the face. So if you want to activate that, the most effective way is to plunge your face into ice cold water. But if you don't want to do that, if you place a cold compress on your cheeks and your eyes, it will activate this reflex and calm the body down. So I tried both of these, and yes, both work, and it's really quick. Within a minute, your body will react and will respond to this, and it can just flick you out of that super hyper alert, aware, and stressed response, and just it's like a physical reset. Now, as a disclaimer, this isn't going to fix your life. Like if you have routinely chronic stress, it will reset, but if you just go back into the world, it's just going to reactivate the stress response. But it's a nice way. I sometimes find if I'm super stressed, then I can find it really hard to settle into my meditation because the body's too hyperreactive. And so doing this before you meditate, excellent, because you've calmed the body and physically reset it before you then do the work of meditation to build your capacity. So if you want to give this a try at home, you'll find that the first 10 to 30 seconds are pretty intense as your body responds to the cold. And then within maybe a minute, you'll start to notice the change. So you could do this and hold it there for sort of up to 5 minutes, depending on how it feels. But don't do it for too long, and definitely no more than 10 or 15 minutes, because you'll actually activate the cold pressor response, which will pump cortisol and increase heart rate and breathing, which is the exact opposite of what we're trying to achieve. So less is more here. You want to just do it until you feel that sigh of relief. All right, so a few tips if you're going to give this a try. One, wrap the ice brick or coldpack in paper towel or a tea towel or something. You don't want to give yourself an ice burn on your skin, and it's too intense if you put it straight on, just like you would anytime you use an ice pack. If try and do it sitting down or lying down rather than standing, because it's reducing your blood pressure for some people, that might make you feel a little bit dizzy. So it's much nicer to do it sitting down. Allow a couple of minutes for it to work, and then once you feel the relief, take the cold press away. Definitely no more than 10 or 15 minutes. If it hasn't worked by then, it's just going to re-trigger you. And use it as you need to create a physical reset. But it's not going to be something that's going to long-term change how you're responding. But it just can if you're having a moment and you need to just settle in or calm down. It can be a great way to do it. All right. So I would love to hear how your experiments with this go. Please put a comment or send me a message on socials or flick me an email. I would love to have some real life examples of how people have tested this out and whether it works for you. All right, give it a go, and I will see you next week.